Go.
I know you've got a lot of fans here to see you. I'd have to say, where originally are you from out here in Maine?
Central Maine, up near Bangor.
Bangor.
Yep.
Are you still around in Maine? Do you live in Maine?
Yeah, I've lived in Maine all my life except for 10 years when I lived down south.
As did I. There is a lot of good acts. You're one of the most popular sets. Everybody else playing. Who would you have to say your next act would be? Your favorite act out here?
Oh, I couldn't say that. I know all these guys, and they're all. When you're a professional musician, there is no good or better. That's as long as you're doing it and you're doing it with your all. That's what we look for.
Wonderful,
Yep.
wonderful. We're excited to see you. I know everybody here is excited to see you. So, I appreciate you chatting with us. All right, thank you. All right, I know there's a lot of fans here to see your performance. Whereabouts in Maine are you from?
Well, I was originally from Cape Elizabeth, Maine, and now I live in New Hampshire. Tommy was never from Maine.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from Providence, Rhode Island, but I live in North Conway, New Hampshire now.
Oh, okay.
But when we were in our heyday, we were a Maine band. We were always known as a Maine band. Herb who is not with us anymore, was from Portland, Maine. A lot of us from Cape
So
Elizabeth.
we were a Maine-based band.
Yeah. Coming from the South, I've heard your music. Love it.
You've heard our music?
I have heard your music, and I saw this, and he gave us the bill. And I was like, wow, it's some good names here. And people I've talked to, everybody's excited to see you guys.
Well, that's,
It's always fun for us to play. We don't play that much anymore, but when we do, it's always nice to do this Devonsquare show.
How many times a year do you guys perform?
3 or 4.
not a lot now, because we lost one of our band members. And we played, oh my gosh, 4 days a week in the 70s and 80s, and then got a record deal in the early 90s and went on tour with Peter Frampton. I'm going to name drop here. Not going to swear though. We played quite a bit, and then we lost one of our band members. It was very intrinsic to the music of the pulse of this band. And so we don't play much, but every once in a while somebody calls and we throw together a show, and it's a blast. And it's still there. The juices are still flowing, and it's great.
That's what keeps you alive, you know? You do what you love,
Apparently.
Well, there's several acts. You guys are one of the amazing acts. Any other favorites that are performing tonight?
I'm a big Dave Mallett fan, and also Ellis Paul fan myself.
He's good.
Me too. We played with Ellis Paul in New York when we got our record deal, I think, and 20 years ago.
We've done some shows with
Yep,
Ellis
done
over
some
the
shows.
years.
He's terrific. And Carol Noonan's really good. They're all good musicians.
And then there's this guy, Don something, bye something.
Bye, John.
I'm still trying to remember who he was.
I think vaguely.
I mean, this guy wrote some amazing songs. That song is like an American icon song.
It's an anthem. It was an anthemic, is what that song was. Growing up with that in the '70s, which was my college heydays and stuff. That was the song where we are. Bye. Everybody sang it in every bar when they play it, so it was always just significant.
Briefly, how did you guys get into music? What brought you to perform?
Well, I played music my whole life and played in bands in high school. I played piano when I was young, and I wound up going to New Hampshire. I took a little summer job playing a little pub, and I met Herb and Alana, who were playing in a band.
Devonsquare, was the original
Devonsquare, and then that band sort of broke up, and they called me, and the three of us got together back in '75.
75.
And
You probably weren't born then.
the rest is
9
history.
years later, yeah. It is history. It's history that everybody loves. I can tell you that. And how about you? Did you start here in Maine performing?
Yes, I mean, I played violin in the Portland Symphony for 15 years, so I was classically trained. It sounds snobby, but so music was always sort of flowing somewhere in my head and my veins, and just met these guys and started writing songs together. We were all new at it. It was just coming out of the womb, sort of speaking, about writing songs. You have to take a chance. You also have to have an ego. You have to have no fear to be up there on stage and just take chances with presenting yourself like that. It's not like sitting down at a desk and a computer and you can hide. Nowhere to hide when you're up there.
No.
I just want to say one thing. I'm glad that I wore my heels tonight.
Aren't you glad I didn't wear mine?
I'm really glad.
You look great together, so no worries about
Thank
that.
you very much.
Hey, I appreciate you guys chatting.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Good to
I didn't
meet you
swear
guys.
once, man.
I know. Yeah, just for who's watching, and I'm sure they know who you are, but just give me your name.
My name is Tim Sample, winner of the Tim Sample Lookalike Contest 3 years running at the Freiburg Fair.
You know, you did a hell of a job dressing up as him, yeah.
Well, people mistake me for him all the time. I figure if I could cash his checks, I'd be a zillionaire, but anyway.
So you're from Maine, correct?
I was born in the town of Fort Fairfield, Maine, in 1951. That's the town seal of Fort Fairfield, Maine. Raised on the coast, I am as Maine as it gets. Generations in the ground, as we say around here.
Beautiful. I'm from out of state, so
It's all right.
it's
we won't
good.
hold it against you. We won't.
It's good to experience real Mainers,
Yeah.
especially out here. We've got a ton of artists, a few artists performing out here. Biased opinion, but tell me, who is your favorite act? Come out
Well,
here.
I was asked here this evening to introduce my dear friend David Mallett. And I'm a big fan. This is a wonderful lineup, and I actually was in here this afternoon earlier and had a nice long chat with Don McClean. Of course, he's literally a living legend. But Mallett and I started performing together in 1977 or 78 or somewhere back in those days, and we kind of grew up together in the entertainment business. We do a couple of 3 shows a year every year for all these years. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Dave, and now Dave's kids are playing. The Mallett brothers, they have their own band, and Dave plays with them, and that's just really nice. But we met. We were about 25 or 26 years old when we met all those years ago. So.
That's wonderful. Are you you still live in Maine?
Yep. I've never lived nor wanted to live anywhere except the state. I live about 5 minutes away from here in Portland. And I've lived all over the state, and I have a house in Washington County. That's not the joke. But if you do, folks, if you go to Washington County, Maine, it's a gorgeous, drop-dead gorgeous part of the state of Maine, but bring your money with you. They don't have any laying around right up there, so you have to bring that in with you. But yeah, I love the state of Maine.
Beautiful, wonderful. I appreciate you talking to us, and I'm sure everybody that's going to see you is going to be excited.
We're going to have fun tonight. It's a great time.
All right, you have a good rest of the evening. I appreciate it. All right, I'm sure everybody knows just who you are and where you're from.
I'm from Brownfield, Maine, and I'm here with some of my favorite Maine artists are here tonight, which is fun. And I'm taking a night off from the Stone Mountain Arts Center, which is a music hall I opened about 8 years ago or so. So
Now, where is that at?
that's in Brownfield as well. That's behind my house, in the middle of nowhere. So
Beautiful, yeah. What kind of, do you have several different acts out there at the venue? Or?
yeah, lots of national acts come. Actually, everybody that's here tonight, I think, has been there. Don McClean's been there, and Dave, and Ellis, and Devonsquare, and everybody. So we get anywhere from national acts like Lyle Lovett to small acts that are just starting out. And it's just a little 200-seat venue in the middle of nowhere. So it's
Very intimate. It's
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, we'll have to make it out there, definitely.
You should.
What got you into music? What, were you brought up with a musical family?
No. I was really bad in school, I think, is the only answer for that. I just could sing at a young age, and it's just something I always did. And, I went to doing conservatory and studied for a while, and I wasn't really into that scene so much, but I started writing songs and got a few record deals, and now that's what I do.
Wonderful. Well, there's a lot of people excited to see this whole show, you and all the artists coming out, so plenty of fans out there. But I want to thank you for giving us the time to chat with you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Never wanna lose. I never wanna lose. No, I've been doing my damn best to make you think I'm no good at
that was wonderful. What an opportunity. That was great. Thanks for that. So, tell me your name.
It's Annette Rogers.
Annette Rogers. Annette, who are you here to see today?
Don McClean, Howie Day, Ellis Paul.
Good lineup here. Well, that's perfect. Where are you coming out from?
From Falmouth, right here in Maine.
Oh, so you're local.
I'm a
Well,
local,
that's good.
But actually, I have some friends coming up from Hampton.
Hampton. Wow.
Yes, New Hampshire.
I wouldn't know. Texas. Like, all
Oh,
the
you're
names,
from Texas?
all the names. You just throw me off.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's wonderful. How many do you have coming up with you?
3 coming up from that way because they know of their background, that they're from Maine, so they've been wanting to see them for a very long time. So it's really good that they brought 4 big artists together here in Maine. So,
Well, your all-time favorite performing tonight, what would you say?
I'm sorry, what?
Your all-time favorite performing tonight, favorite artist performing
Well,
tonight.
everyone would say Don McClean, but actually I've been listening to all their stuff, and I actually really like Howie Day's music. It's like more my style.
I would have to agree with you. He's more my generation,
Yeah,
but
my generation, and I've been listening to all the soundtracks the last 3 weeks, and it's amazing. Didn't know what I was missing from somebody right here in my backyard.
wonderful. But hey, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope it came out.
98.9 WCLZ, the Acoustic Coffee Break special guest in Studio Z. We're so happy to welcome back home to Maine Howie Day, who's in town for tomorrow night's Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame show at the Cross Insurance Arena in the Cumberland County Civic Center, as it's formerly known, and taking the stage with legend Don McClean, Ellis Paul, David Mallett. Welcome home.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Well, I'd love to chat with you about this exciting honor and the show tomorrow night. Let's have you kick off with a tune, and then we'll chat.
All right. As sweet as a sight of a room, window open by candlelight. So how would you know? Your cold winter on the shore chills a dress she wore. It's on the floor and it feels so warm. You today. That's why I'm wondering why you had to tell me what's going on. Your head, what's wrong? Come around to another time where you don't have to run. And when she said she wants somebody else, hope you know she doesn't need you. And when she breaks down and makes a sound, you'll never hear her the way I do. Well, yeah, yeah, I'm alright. You're swinging to flight over hills, over her hills. It's twilight. Yeah, I guess it's right now. And while we're here, tell me why it's so funny that you're so funny when you're mad. Yeah, always so mad, so mad. That's why I'm wondering why you had to tell me what's going on in your head, what's wrong. Come around to another time where you don't have to run. And when she says she wants somebody else, hope you know she doesn't need you. And when she breaks down and makes a sound, you'll never hear her the way I do. And when she says she wants someone to love, I hope you know she doesn't need you. Oh, when she breaks down and lets you down, I hope you know that don't know if you come and find me, and I don't know if you're going to, and I don't know if it means to me, and you don't know if it means to you. She doesn't mean you.
Ah, nice. Howie Day in Studio Z, the acoustic coffee break on 98.9 WCLZ. What a good sport to walk in and then I make you hit all those high notes right off the bat. Well done.
I know, we're just getting warmed up here.
Just getting started. Well, Howie Day in Studio Z getting ready for tomorrow night's big celebration at the Cumberland County Civic Center, Cross Insurance Arena. It's the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame show, joining Don McClean, Ellis Paul, David Mallett. Welcome back home. Do you get back often? I know you were you did a show here about a year ago. Do you get back to visit? You have
like usually at least 1 or 2 visits a year, and then if we play a show too.
So, and you're from Brewer, born in Bangor, and you have family in the area. And we were chatting briefly that they'll be coming to the show.
There's some family coming, which is like, it doesn't matter. I mean, there could be a 1,000, 2,000. I don't know how many people are coming in the arena. But it's really about the family. That's what makes you nervous. You know, you want to represent the family.
Sure. It's so, it's so funny because I think of that, and you've been doing this a long time. You've played all over the world in front of huge crowds. And yet, you're talking about, a few handfuls of people who obviously you're really close to. And those are the ones. This is the show. You could be playing Madison Square Garden and be less nervous.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, your family and your fans and anyone who knows what you can do, they hold you to a higher standard, so there's more pressure. But the ultimate show is to be an opening act because they don't care, and you're just trying to get their attention.
Sure.
A lot of my early career was opening, and it was so much fun because you could just kind of be whoever you wanted to be that day.
A lot less pressure.
Yeah. And then, of course, playing with these other guys who are seasoned veterans of the music industry. And actually, I'm really looking forward to just being able to pick their brain and see what their experiences have been like navigating this crazy, crazy business.
And crazy business that continues to change at breakneck speed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know, what would you say, contention about that. It's like a lot of people are sort of complaining about it. I tend to be an optimist. I think, basically I hear the generations talking about our generation saying, oh, they don't care about music and it's this and that. But I feel like it's like a parallel with like when the Beatles came out and it was rock and roll and long hair. And that was like the big problem.
Sure,
then.
right.
So
right.
It's just, things
What's
things
old
evolve,
is new again. It's Howie Day in Studio Z on 98.9 WCLZ with a performance tomorrow night in front of thousands, including a couple dozen family members at the Cumberland County Civic Center. Don McClean, Ellis Paul, David Mallett. I know you're working on some new music, and I put you on the spot and asked if you might play something for the CLZ New Music File, and you were gracious enough to give it a go.
Well, we'll give it a go, yeah.
What's the? Do you have a working title for a new album?
I don't have a title for the album yet. Even the songs are a bit sort of working title at the moment, which is probably a little behind because we're over half done recording. So next month we're going to go in and kind of finish it.
Yeah.
So it's getting there.
Good.
Yeah.
So what is the working title of this song?
This is called the working title is Favorite Song.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a simple code. I'll write it down for all to see. Your trust is like a little light you carry around but never use. I'll be getting on my way tonight, and I will play my favorite song. I will listen to the wind outside, and I will hear my favorite chord, my favorite chord. I'm waking up a different place. What a sun against my face. I recognize the world outside, the strangest tenor in my voice. I'll be staying where I am tonight, and I will wear my only clothes. I am staring out to sea tonight, and I will play my favorite song to it all. Whoa, whoa. To it all. Whoa, whoa. 'Cause I'm waiting for a simple code. I'll write it down for all to see. You waving lights are in your eyes, and I will play my favorite song.
Brand new music from Howie Day in Studio Z. It's the acoustic coffee break on 98.9 WCLZ. It's called Favorite Song. And I'm curious about the last album that you recorded, Sound the Alarm.
Yeah.
A lot of artists, I think, they'll pick a spot, they hunker down, and they just, record the entire album in one spot. And you were you were in Los Angeles and London and Minneapolis, New York. And was it just sort of the way it happened, or was that an intentional
that was a mistake, really, is what it was.
In what way?
Well, obviously the album before that had a couple of pretty good, successful songs on it. So there was some pressure to do that again, and I was a bit Maine about it. I was stubborn, and I didn't want to give them that again.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of tinkering and trying different things, and that album sort of ended up a bit of a Frankenstein sort of album. So on this new album, I actually went back to the producer in Boston who I recorded my first album with, Australia.
Yeah.
And we're just doing it all there.
Yep.
And trying to, because you have to do that in order to get a continuity on an album. And of course, here we get into albums don't matter anymore, but I think they do.
Sure.
They matter to me. I do a lot of driving. I'm a musician on the road. I want to listen from start to finish, and I want it to be an arc, an experience. You
Sure.
know? And being from Maine and having fans in Maine and having people see me play at this thing. I mean, Maine, the people here are very discerning in their tastes in music, their opinions in politics. I mean,
you don't say.
And they're gonna tell you what they think.
Yep.
So they're not as easily impressed. So playing in Maine is like it's a test. It's a litmus test for everywhere else, because especially from being here, they'll be honest with you.
Sure.
So maybe that's another reason that it's a bit terrifying to play. Besides the family aspect and all of that,
yeah.
and sort of being in your hometown. But there's and I think that idea permeates into how the musicians write. Everything is very earnest. Everything is very authentic. People aren't allowed to be outspoken in their lyrics. So I would like to grasp onto that a bit more as I get older. I feel like I'm kind of for this show, I'm kind of the young one.
You're the young gun.
I am, and it's funny
town.
because I was reading this thing this morning, and it was like, Howie Day had a couple of hits, like 10 years ago, and it made me feel old, and I'm like, it's too soon for Hall of Fame for me. I still got some left. Like, come on. But at the same time, it's an incredible honor, and it's just and it's such a good opportunity for me to talk to these guys who have done so much more than I have.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly, a worldwide legend in Don McClean, and then David Mallett, who we were talking about the Garden song, and
he's like the guy behind the scenes that made the. I mean, it's like equal. It's the same kind of thing. Garden song. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Howie Day in Studio Z getting ready for the performance tomorrow night at the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame show at the Cross Insurance Arena at the Cumberland County Civic Center. Don McClean, Ellis Paul, David Mallett. There are still tickets available for this show. You can head to the WCLZ concerts page to get details. And Howie, you talked about the hits. The biggest one of all, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, this was Epic Records' first platinum single. Do I have that information correct?
Yeah.
Does Wikipedia have that information?
No, it was their first platinum digital single.
Gotcha. Yes.
Like iTunes. Because iTunes 2000, this was like 2005-ish.
Yep.
So it's not 10 years. Come on. So, yeah, this was like the first platinum digital sale single for Epic Records, which, I don't know. I get to... That's mine forever, I guess.
That's absolutely.
Being first is first.
There's no way around it on the cutting edge of the brave new world. Howie Day in Studio Z on 98.9 WCLZ.
The dawn is breaking and a light shining through, and you're barely waking, and I'm tangled up in you. Well, I'm open, you're closed. Where I follow, you'll go. And I worry I won't see your face. Light up again, even the best fall down sometime. Even the wrong words seem to rhyme. And out of the doubt that fills my mind, I somehow find you and I collide. Well, I'm quiet, and you make first impression. I've found I'm scared to know I'm always on your mind. Well, even the best fall down sometimes. Even the stars refuse to shine. And out of the back you fall in time. And I somehow find you and I collide. But don't stop here. And I lost my place, and I'm close behind. Whoa, I'm close behind. Even the best fall down sometimes. Even the wrong words seem to rhyme. And out of the doubt that fills your mind, you finally find that you and I collide. You finally find that you and I collide.
Howie Day in Studio Z, the acoustic coffee break on 98.9 WCLZ. Howie in town for a show tomorrow night. It is the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame show at the Cross Insurance Arena. Don McClean, Ellis Paul, David Mallett, and Howie Day being inducted first class into the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame. Congratulations on the honor.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
Thanks for stopping by Studio Z. Look forward to hearing the rest of the new album when it comes out. Hope you come by and play some more tunes for us.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. Howie Day in Studio Z on 98.9 WCLZ.
The new Rewind 100.9 with amazing variety from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And our AccuWeather forecast in a moment. Sunshine, mid-80s today. Brian Thompson has all the details. But this morning, we're very fortunate, very pleased, and quite honored to have one of the upcoming inductees and honorees and performers for the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame show on July 12th at the Civic Center. This year's inductees include Howie Day, Dave Mallett, and Ellis Paul. There'll be other musical performances by Devonsquare, the Mallett Brothers Band, and Carol Noonan. But first and foremost, in joining us this morning, for me, it's a personal thrill and pleasure to be able to speak with Don McClean.
Nice to talk to you, too.
Well, Don, first off, congratulations on your selection for induction into the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame. And something a lot of people know, but not everybody is aware of the fact that you live here in Maine. What brought you up here to the Pine Tree State?
Well, actually, the first time I really discovered Maine was around 1969. I was up here doing a little tour with Pete Seeger and a couple of other singers around the time that a boat that he raised money to build was being built in Damariscotta, Maine. And so I got to know the area, but I moved at that time to upstate New York and didn't really discover Maine again until about 30 years ago, when a friend of mine suggested that I come and visit him and showed me a little town called Castine, Maine. And I'd been looking around for a beautiful summer place of some sort, so I bought a little house there. It wasn't that little, actually, and that was the beginning. And then I finally moved up full time, bought another place in Camden, where we've been for 24 years.
We will have more in the coming days of our conversation with Don McClean here on Rewind 100.9. And to get full details on the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame show July 12th at the Civic Center, the website is themainemusicawardsandfestival.com. Time to catch you up on news, traffic, and AccuWeather as we turn you over to Caleb Burnett on Rewind 100.9. Don McClean's rendition of the classic Roy Orbison tune, Crying, on the new Rewind 100.9. And ahead of the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame show and festival at the Cumberland County Civic Center July 12th, we've had a chance to chat with one of the honorees, inductees, and performers for this year's Hall of Fame, Don McClean. One of the things, Don, I noted when doing some research, you had to deal with childhood asthma. And how were you able to make that work out with your desire to sing?
Well, I chose a kind of what you call a bel canto style of singing. Today, and I'm not putting this down, but you have a lot of sort of screaming, or you have a kind of talking thing being done. But bel canto is really it's an operatic style, and it's what Elvis Presley used, and Marty Robbins, Roy Orbison, people like that who were singers. So I'm a singer, and that's what I wanted to be. And I found that it gave me an enormous breath control, which really overcame a lot of the asthmatic conditions. You never really get over asthma if you're prone to it, but I have to manage that. It's been really of no consequence since I was about 15 years old.
So what's in store for fans of your music, Don? Any new projects in the works?
I'm working on an album right now. I'll be singing a few of the songs at the show, and I'm going to be bringing my son with me. He's going to sing a song or two as well. He's a singer and a guitar player, and he's just graduated from Colby College, so he's doing some singing stuff this summer. Basically, I want to finish, continue to write and make albums. I was going to stop doing that, but I realized that I was just getting bored. I wanted to write new material because I didn't have any songs that I could find that, said exactly what I wanted to say, and really, that's the reason I started writing songs in the beginning, so I'm kind of back where I started.
It's kind of like that line from The Godfather. Just when you think you're out, they pull you right back in.
Yeah, right.
We will continue our conversation with Don McClean in the days to come here at Rewind 100.9. He, among the other performers, again, July 12th at the Civic Center for the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame Show and Festival. Details, tickets, and more, you'll find it at Maine Music Awards and Festival.com. AccuWeather forecast details coming right up. The new Rewind 100.9 with more of that amazing variety from the 60s, 70s, and 80s on the way. Good morning, I'm Chuck Igo. It's our More Music Morning Show. We'll catch up in the AccuWeather forecast with Heather Zaire in a moment. But earlier we had a chance to catch up with Don McClean. He is among the honorees and inductees into the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame. There'll be a big concert show ceremonies at the Civic Center Saturday night, July 12th, starting at 7 o'clock. Also being honored along with Don are Howie, Dave Mallett, and Ellis Paul, and there'll be other performances from folks like Devonsquare, the Mallett Brothers Band, Carol Noonan. So it'll be a great night of music. And Don, you came up through the ranks with some pretty notable folks in the world of music when you were starting out back in the 60s and 70s.
Well, the people that I started with, there were so many good musicians. I mean, in the early part, there was, Judy Collins and Gordon Lightfoot and Bob Dylan and many others, and they were all great at finding songs and great at writing songs. And then later on, of course, Elton John and James Taylor and Jackson Browne, a lot of other people came along who were also very skilled and more good singers too. So there was a lot of impetus to sing well, make good records, and write the best possible songs you could, because you also had the Beatles and the Rolling Stones writing and performing and making great albums. So it was a wonderful musical environment, which is no longer with us in a contemporaneous way. It's around if you want to find it, but what's around now doesn't really do much for me.
We'll have more of our conversation with Don McClean coming up next week as we get closer to the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame show. And once again, that's Saturday night, July 12th at the Civic Center starting at 7 o'clock. You can get details and tickets at Maine Music Awards and Festival.com.
Well, I have a lot of funny things that have happened to me along the way. Really, people don't realize this, and if I say it, people will think I'm making this up, but I really don't make things up. Buddy Holly really was pretty much forgotten in 1971. And American Pie, not only, every time they play American Pie, they play Peggy Sue or Rave On or, one of his songs. And a book was written, and the writer of the book told me that, and wrote me a letter, and said that, the book never would have come out if it hadn't been for American Pie, because he tried and nobody cared. Rock and roll in those days was thought of as a very old rock and roll, the stuff from the 50s. It wasn't really, if you died back in the 50s, people said, okay, we move on. The song got the book out, and the book led to the movie. And I remember the producers of the movie and Gary Busey coming to my dressing room and telling me that the movie never would have been made without American Pie. So I'm really happy and proud about that, because Buddy was one of my favorite artists of all time and still is. And he was a guy who died when he was 22 years old. He probably recorded 60 tracks, maybe more. And he wrote every single one of them, and if you listen to them, every one of them's a hit. Well, he did a variety of things. At the end of his life, he was using strings. He sang beautiful ballads, which people don't really know him for. And then, of course, he had the great rock group with the Crickets with the double guitars and everything, which is the template really for the Stones and the Beatles and a lot of other stuff. So he was a genius.
The new Rewind 100.9, more of that amazing variety from the 60s, 70s, and 80s on the way as we conclude with these fading strains of Don McClean and wrap up our conversation with Don, who is among the honorees and inductees to the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame on Saturday night at the Cumberland County Civic Center. Don, what is the best way for people to keep up to date with what you are doing, new music projects, concerts, and more?
Oh, yeah, they can go to AmericanPie.com. They can go to DonMcClean.com, and it's the official website, and you can find out everywhere I'm going to be and tons of stuff. The website is voluminous.
One of the great things for those of us who live here in Maine is we get a chance to enjoy you doing what you love to do best, which is sing, from time to time, right here in the neighborhood.
I really, I did a thing for LL Bean once, and I did a couple of benefits around town, and one up at University of Maine a while back, and one around, different places from time to time. We have raised both our kids here. We've really loved being here and enjoyed it enormously, and we know a lot of the regular folks. In fact, my wife is a writer, and she did a wonderful book called Main Street, which you can get through Down East Books, and it's really all about a lot of the regulars and the old-timers here in Camden. Quite a few have passed away since she did it, and she's a photographer, and she's also working on another book about children on the islands. That's going to be on Down East Books also.
Don, once again, thank you for your time and joining us here on Rewind 100.9. Continued success, and we look forward to maybe seeing you around the neighborhood from time to time. You and I can enjoy Don's music as he performs and is inducted into the Maine Music Awards Hall of Fame Saturday evening at the Cumberland County Civic Center. We'll have a few more chances this week to win your way in, but you can get full details at theciviccenter.com or MaineMusicAwardsAndFestival.com. AccuWeather forecast details coming up with Heather Zaire. News and traffic first. It's time for Kayla Bennett on Rewind 100.9.